You're listening to continuing coverage of the Rust shooting trial against Alec Baldwin from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. Now back to the courtroom.
Are you aware that the exchange between Mr. Teskey and the people at the Sheriff's Department that took place when you were in trial with me, are you aware that at least part of that was recorded on a body-worn camera?
I know now.
When did you learn that?
Today.
And have you had an opportunity to review it?
Yes.
Never been given this.
I just got it, so
Okay, I just want the court to know. This is
I can give it to them.
This is the newest of the revelation.
So there's when Teskey comes into the station, it's being recorded on a body-worn camera?
I believe that the defense did have it because they knew what Mr. Teskey was saying to Popple. That's the basis of the cross-examination.
Well, it hasn't been admitted as an exhibit.
Sure, and I can call Popple and have it admitted as an exhibitor. I can call Brandel, but it's a motion hearing. How do you want me to handle it? She's now seen it. I can give it to the defense.
No, I'm going to have the person that whose body it was on. Let me ask you, in the meantime, while I'm listening to this testimony, can I have the exhibits from Popple that she testified about the bullets and what when they went to the FBI? Her inventory of bullets. May I have those exhibits? I know there's a lot of them.
Sure. I think there are probably some also from the defense. So does the defense want to go through their pile? Do you want me
I
to
just
do it?
want the ones that Popple testified off of, not any cross.
Are you looking for the one that I just highlighted specifically?
No, I'm looking for the ones that Popple testified she inventoried and had tested.
Are you asking for scene photos or no? Just the ones that she had at the Sheriff's
Yes,
Department?
where she went through and some were in Ziplocs.
Okay, so not scene photos, just the ones from the Sheriff's Department? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you have those?
They should be.
And just for the record, Judge, we don't have the body-worn camera.
But I'm hearing you. I want to look at the bullets.
The physical.
I'll take the physical.
The physical, is it on YouTube? You don't need photos of boxes? Just bullets? Okay.
I want what she testified of, the ones that were gathered at the scene, and then she went through how she tested them. There they are. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I think these are fine, Ms. Morrison. Okay, thank you.
37, 36, 37, 38.
Oh, so you want the actual bullets?
Well, these are
Sorry.
fine.
Okay, I thought
Well,
you
I
wanted
was
photographs.
gonna take the photos, but these are good too.
Okay.
Are
Do you want the photos
these, may I
also?
ask, are these these aren't all that were gathered at the scene, were they?
They are,
These are the sum total?
correct. There were only 5 live rounds, in addition to the spent casing.
Okay, which ones were only the live rounds tested by the FBI? No, there were more that were tested by the FBI.
There were dummy rounds that were sent to the FBI that were confirmed to be dummy rounds.
Okay, that's what I want to look at.
The
Do you have
dummy-
pictures? Do you have pictures of that?
I don't think we've had her testify to that. I don't know.
Can I have all the exhibits that were entered while she testified? That's the best way to put it.
Sure. Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. Do you want them from the state and the defense?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm,
Do you want to announce what they are? Hayden, can you tell us what the exhibits are during Popple's testimony? Or I actually can, because I took notes. There they are. Let me do it.
It's 16, 17.
hang on, we need to catch up with you if you're going to give us numbers. Hang on.
All right. Do you want me to tell you what they are?
I think Brian next to me has them. I'm just trying to get there. So I don't want you to list them off to me yet.
Well, it's just 15 through 21.
And I'm looking to start here at 15. I'm not finding 15, so give me just a minute. I've got 18 set aside, I've got 17 set aside, 15, 16. What was the other one? That's 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Okay. And then 20, 21, 23.
Okay, slow down, because it's, if you would, please. What was the, give me the first number again? We've got a ton of
20,
exhibits
20,
here.
21.
20 and 21?
Uh-huh,
Okay, hang
23,
on,
25.
hang on. This is 20. You want
Oh,
that?
no, I just want the guns.
21 is the
You can
shot
go
of the
whenever you
pew.
Yeah, I don't want the pew. I want
Okay,
the...
what else?
Just
So here's 10. Do you want that? That's a scene photo, but she testified to
a
it.
scene photo. What do you mean?
It's from the set of Rust. It was taken
Okay,
on the
yeah,
set.
yeah.
Okay. Do you want these? This does, okay. This one has ammunition on it?
Which is that from, oh, no, I don't want,
This
I
is
only
9.
want the ones on the set, not in PDQ.
Okay. So what I'm handing you is all photos of state's exhibits that were of ammunition. Do you want the spent casing?
No.
Okay. Do you want me to go through the defendant's exhibits?
I want the defendant to go through the defendant's exhibits.
So glad you asked.
Do you want this?
Yeah, sure. Where's
Okay,
that?
that's the spent casing.
Okay, yeah.
Those are the ones I have.
I have them here.
There you go, Judge.
All right, thank you so much. These are it, after all I asked for? Seems kind of thin from what
You
I...
know what? Hang on just a second. Let me go through these real quick.
All right.
Stop for just a second. Let me see what's in front of me.
These are enough, these are enough, these are enough, okay? I'm good, I'm good. All right, let me just use these, okay? Let me just see if I might ask for more later. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt your question.
No, that's fine. Due to Mr. Teskey's refusal to speak to you, were you ever able to tie the items that he dropped off at the sheriff's department to the set of Rust?
No.
Given that this is a motion hearing, and if the court wants me to do this a different way, please tell me. Over the lunch break, were we able to obtain the video and watch it?
Yes.
Did you hear what Mr. Teskey said in the video regarding whether or not these came from the set of Rust?
He said that they were not from the set.
That's what he said on the video.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm happy to get...
Can't cross-examine off of this.
Sure,
so,
and I can get it to him.
Well, you are going to give it to him, and this testimony, he can call her back up if he wants. but-
Absolutely, sure. I'll pass the witness.
All right, I have some questions. Can you put back on that video of the text that Seth Kenny
Sure.
got from Teskey?
If you guys have a flash drive, I'll give you that video right now.
And can you blow that up,
You want the top or the bottom?
the top?
Okay,
All right, I'm going to ask some questions.
sure.
All right, so you testified that that only one seemed similar, let's see, one similar to the Starline Brass Color Primer in Arizona, and that it's the third one, so 45 Colt?
It didn't seem similar in the primer. It was different in the primer color. So
In what, why is it different in the primer color?
because the primer on the third one it's a brass color. The primers that came from Rust were silver.
These are, you counsel, you need to come up. Counsel, you need to come up. I'm questioning, you're gonna need to see this, both of you.
I can see what you're showing her. I saw what you're showing her.
I I only see one silver here.
Right, but this is in reference to the live ammunition.
Look, you just testified. Let me just ask this. None of these look similar to the set on rust,
To the live ammunition.
to the live ammunition on
Yes,
rust.
ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
But it still looks similar to what was on rust.
Yes, as far as, yes.
It looks similar to these on rust.
For the dummies, yes.
Yes, it looks similar to dummies on rust.
Dummies, but not live.
Okay, I understand your distinction on
Okay.
live. But they still look similar. That one, the third one from the left, still looks similar to dummies on rust.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Can I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
I may not even need the video right now, so we can start without that.
All right.
Good afternoon, Corporal.
Afternoon.
When you started investigating this case, you were investigating this concept of sabotage, that there could have been an intentional live bullet placed onto the set. You remember that?
Not originally, but later on, yes.
Okay, and obviously if somebody...
Let me just ask it. So they're not similar to the live rounds. That was not similar to the live rounds, but they were similar to the dummies on rust.
That's correct.
Okay, and the dummies on rust were tested with the live ammo by the FBI.
Yes, some of the dummies were sent.
Some of the dummies that look like that one on the phone.
I couldn't say which exact ones were sent to the FBI.
Okay, but you just testified that looks similar to the dummies on rust.
Yes.
You didn't differentiate, and that some of the dummies on rust were sent to the FBI.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, at certain point early on in this case, you entertained the possibility that this was an actual sabotage, that somebody could have intentionally placed the lethal bullet onto set, correct?
Yes.
And you quickly dispensed of that concept, right?
I don't think it was quickly dispensed. It was investigated.
Okay. And fair to say that if that had happened, that would have been a far different case, right?
It could have been. I don't.
And so then you turn to the idea of, well, somebody outside of Rust could have placed or been the cause of the ammunition ending up on set. And you interviewed Seth Kenny, I think you told this court yesterday, 10 times at least, right?
Yeah, I can't put an exact number, but it was a few times, yes.
Right, and that would have been a different case also, right?
If he had provided them?
Yeah.
In relation to this case or in relation to the past case?
In relation to any case.
It's hard to say.
Well, you were here for investigator, I'm going to do this again, CST Popple's testimony yesterday, weren't you?
Yes.
And you've had an opportunity to view the 45 Starline brass that came out of this package today, correct?
No.
You haven't looked at it yet?
No.
Okay.
She was excluded as a witness, I think.
Are you aware, as you sit here, that there was 45 long cold Starline brass nickel in the courtroom today from CST Popple?
I just found that out today.
Okay. So, you were here for this testimony in this courtroom. And let me ask you, Ms. Popple, the ammunition that the Good Samaritan Mr. Teskey, the close friend of Hannah Gutierrez's dad, when that ammunition that he brought into you after the conviction, you still have it? Answer, yes. Question, you can bring it in here and you can show it to the jury, right? Answer, yes. And they can see for themselves that it does not match the live ammunition from the set of Rust, correct? Yes. And that it is obvious. Just when you look at it, it is not. Yes. Remember that testimony that you were sitting here for?
Yes, I do.
And that turns out to be completely false, doesn't it?
You're correct.
Mr. Kenny was just here. Did you see him in the hallway?
I saw him in passing, yes.
You interviewed him, I think you said over 10 times, right?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number.
40 plus phone calls, I think.
It was a lot.
Okay. And we have some of those text messages, and I'm going to put up defense B on the screen. And it's not working. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay. And you see at the top, this is a screenshot that he's sending you, right?
Yes.
And you see it ends with, yup, it's evidence. Yup, it's evidence in the accidental death, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. And he does not include the ugh, this sucks when he sends it to you, right? You don't see any ugh, this sucks on this, do you?
No.
It talks about how it looks like it's been reloaded, and that's him telling you that, right?
Sorry, let me just read it really quick.
Sure.
Okay.
And you ask a very interesting question, Corporal, that sounds a lot like the question the court just asked you. You asked, do you think it could have come from the same batch since it's a different color, right?
Yes.
And he said, in writing, in no uncertain terms, I thought the same thing regarding the primer, but Joe has been known to mix different color primers and blanks. So no, still highly likely that it's from the same batch. Did I read that right?
Yes.
And you had that information in the month following the incident, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to fast forward. I'm not going to go through the Seth Kenny story with you today, okay?
Okay.
But it's fair to say, if we even fast forward to the end, Mr. Teskey comes in, and you had known Mr. Teskey's name because Seth Kenny had called him in front of you, right?
Yes.
And Seth Kenny's name came up, withdraw. Troy Teskey's name came up several times because Seth Kenny brought him up several times, right?
Yes.
In relation to the idea that the same batch of rounds from 1883 had at different points and different quantities touched Joel Swanson, Troy Teskey, Seth Kenny, right? They were all involved.
I don't know if it was in relation to 1883 or where it originated from exactly, but that it might be related, might be.
And that they would talk about in front of you on speakerphone the green ammo can that had leftover ammunition, correct?
Maybe, I'm not too sure.
Well, you're not denying that, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And in fact, when you went to search PDQ in the warrant that you put in front of a court to get access to PDQ, you wrote into that warrant that you needed to find the green ammo can, correct?
I did.
And the reason that you needed to find the green ammo can, as you explained in the warrant, was because there may be live ammunition on it that matched the round that struck Miss Hutchins, correct?
Yes, that was where that originated from, was from Thel.
Well, but you see, I knew you were going to do that. It's not the only place it originated from. It also came up with Mr. Teskey and Mr. Swanson in front of you on November 1st when Mr. Kenny found out and said, shit, but it's her fucking fault, right?
He said that a lot.
He said that exact phrase? Shit, but it's her fucking fault? He said that a lot?
Yeah.
Did you grow suspicious of Mr. Kenny if he kept saying that?
No.
Oh, okay. So, in any event, you knew that Mr. Teskey was at least somewhat involved because when you're interviewing Mr. Kenny, he's calling him in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Sending you screenshots of messages with him, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Teskey showed up here, according to you, at the Hannah Gutierrez retrial, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Teskey then walked into the police precinct with ammunition that he claims and says is matching to the ammunition that struck Miss Hutchins, right?
I don't think he ever made the statement it was matching.
Well, that's really for law enforcement and the FBI to decide, isn't it?
Which would have been investigated if he would have answered a phone call or returned a phone call.
Okay, and I know we're going to get to that, don't worry. But wasn't the first excuse you gave, Corporal. The first thing you said when this came up on direct examination was that you didn't know it was related to this case. Do you remember testifying to that on direct?
How would I have known if I wasn't given an opportunity to talk to him myself?
You would have no way of knowing that the man who was on speakerphone with you talking to Seth Kenny, the man whose screenshots you received, the man who showed up at the Hannah Gutierrez retrial, the man who walked into your precinct talking about the Rust movie, you would have no way of knowing that it was related to Rust?
I would have need to come to the conclusion myself that it could have been tied back to Rust. There's been many people throughout this investigation that state that they have evidence or testimony to give that wasn't in relation to what I was doing.
So is there other evidence in this case that has this quantum of proof that you have hidden from the defense?
I don't think I've hidden anything.
Is there any other evidence in this case that you think this court should be aware of, that you're aware of, Corporal Hancock?
No.
And when Mr. Teskey came in, he stated that he believed it was from the same batch of ammunition that was located at Seth Kenny's warehouse in Albuquerque, correct?
When he came in?
To the precinct.
So sorry, I just want to understand this. You're saying that Troy Teskey made the statement to law enforcement that the ammunition matched Rust.
Correct.
I Where is that statement coming from?
In your own police report.
Okay.
I'm reading it.
Okay, so this, that's not my police report.
I didn't say it was your police report.
You just said it was.
No, I said in the police report.
And just as a point of clarification, can we?
Is this an objection or is she just talking?
Yeah, you gotta have an objection, okay? I said that, no running things.
My
Speak.
request is that we correct the record with regard to Mr. Spira's.
That is not an objection.
Okay.
What is your objection?
I want to correct the record that he
One
actually did
word.
say I'm showing you your police report.
He's corrected himself, a police report.
In the department, in your sheriff office's police report, okay? I don't mean your personal police report, but in your sheriff's office police report, right?
Okay, understand.
Okay. And not only does this police report come into the very same sheriff's office, correct? Right? This is your police department, right?
Yes.
Okay. Not only does it say live rounds of ammunition that he believed to be connected to the Rust case, right? You
Yes.
saw that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Not only does he say it's the same batch that was at Seth Kenny's, right?
I mean, that's what it says there. I don't remember that statement in the video, but
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because the videotape, whatever there is that has also not been turned over, it didn't necessarily capture every conversation that Mr. Teskey had inside the police department that day. You don't know that.
that's correct.
Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to mention at this point is it's not as if Mr. Teskey was talking to some random auxiliary cop that happened to be walking through the station. He was talking to CST Popple, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
The same CST Popple that testified yesterday, right?
Yes.
That testified that everywhere in this case that she went, you went. Remember that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. She goes to the church on the day of the incident, you're there, right? She goes to the search of the truck, you're there. You go to PDQ, you're there. In the prosecutor's office, you're there. Trial prep, you're there. And that's who took this statement, right?
Yes.
You know, there's hundreds of items inventoried in this case, right?
Yes.
Every time you inventory an item in this case, there's no matching witness statement, right?
No.
Right? You pick up, there's dozens of items, dozens and dozens of items that you all inventoried in this case that have no matching corresponding witness statement, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the story that has now been come up with, that the only reason we couldn't take this item was because there wasn't a matching witness statement, is just spun out of whole cloth, isn't it?
I don't think your statement's entirely correct. You said the reason why we couldn't take this item, which we did take the item.
You took the item, but you took it and put it in a different box than the rest of the items in the Rust case, correct?
Well, I don't think they're all, I mean, I'm not the evidence technician, so I don't know how.
Well, you know this wasn't placed and designated as a Rust evidentiary matter. It was kept and vouchered, as you heard yesterday, under a completely separate identification number, correct?
A different case number.
Right?
Yes.
Unlike the hundreds and hundreds of other items that were collected in this case from a variety of sources, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and a lot of those items were like random, irrelevant, tangential things that all went into CST Popple's inventory in this case, right?
I think all those items were collected on scenes through search warrants or through somebody that gave them to us that we could have had a conversation with, and I could be able to relate what that item was and how it may have been related to Rust.
There was no way to relate this item to Rust when the guys in your precinct telling you this is related to Rust and you had spoken to him on speakerphone and you had gotten those text messages. There's no way to relate it?
Again, I didn't get a statement from him when he's dropping off this ammunition and didn't see it because I wasn't there
Well-
when he was dropping the ammunition off.
Well, your colleagues got a statement, didn't they?
Yes.
Right? It's not like he didn't give a statement that day. He sat in the precinct and met in a room with your colleagues and did give a full statement. So that wasn't true either, right?
I didn't know that until today, that he had sat down with someone.
Okay, but now that you know that, now that you know that he gave a full witness statement, the story that the only reason that law enforcement couldn't possibly dream up a way to connect this to Rust and put it with the rest of the evidence doesn't work anymore, does it? Because he did give a statement, right?
I'm not going to agree with that because he said it didn't come from the set.
Well,
So
you keep saying that, but he's not. The point of this isn't that he literally snuck onto the set and took it back, right? The point is that he had the matching ammunition so that we could understand the source of the lethal round, right?
But again, I didn't know he had matching ammunition.
Well, but your colleagues did.
Again, that wasn't something that was told to me.
I understand your testimony, but given that all of the things we've just discussed about, wouldn't you agree with me that if law enforcement were to come into this court and say the only reason we couldn't possibly connect this to Rust was because he didn't give a witness statement, that doesn't work if he did give a witness statement? True?
Potentially. I'm going to still say that I wouldn't agree with that because I wasn't able to speak with him and how it would have been in relation to Rust. When we submit things, we normally need to have a way to describe to the lab the reason for the testing.
We're going to jump to testing now?
Okay, well, maybe not testing, but
Overruled.
You, is there a rule in your department that when you take in evidence from somebody who says it's connected to something, that you need to have some additional witness statements before you just voucher it and inventory it with the rest of the evidence? Is there some rule that you could point the court to?
I don't think there is one.
Right. And in fact, there couldn't be, because nowhere else in this case of the 100 of items did this rule apply, right?
But I don't know, I don't think it's correct to compare all the other items in this case to ammunition that was turned in during the end of a trial.
Okay. And I don't want to go through every single item that was inventoried, vouchered, whatever word you want to use in this case. But can we agree that there were lots of items vouchered and taken into evidence in this case that are more irrelevant than this very crucial piece of evidence, right?
I would say that there were items taken in that were irrelevant to maybe trials and all of that, but I can't say how relevant this is if I don't know the origination of where it came from.
And the real reason that you didn't inventory this with the Rust evidence is because this harmed and jeopardized law enforcement's case, didn't it?
No, I wouldn't say it either way.
Okay. Well, you then told the court, right? So we've worked through a few of these things. One, first you said you didn't know how it was connected. Then you said nobody interviewed him, couldn't connect it. And then you said to this court that you followed up with Mr. Teskey, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you follow up in cases, right, and have all your police reports, you write down in a police report, attempted to contact manager Chi Ho, returned my call, missed his call, voice message, right, in your police reports, right?
In mine? That's not mine.
In law, I shouldn't keep using the word yours. In the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office, when you all reach out to witnesses, there are often case supplemental reports indicating an attempt to contact someone, correct?
It's not a requirement.
Okay, did I ask you if it was a requirement?
And I'm just answering your question as to, I don't have to say every day and every time I tried to contact somebody.
Okay. But I'm asking you a slightly different question, which is that in this case, this Rust case, okay, there are lots of police reports in this case that are in your file, even if you didn't personally create them, that indicate law enforcement attempting to contact witnesses and failing to reach them, correct?
That specifically.
You can't answer that question, yes or no?
Well, I'm explaining why that was.
I didn't ask why. I'm just asking. In your own file that you as the lead agent have, there are lots of police reports that say Detective so-and-so tried to reach somebody, couldn't reach them. Isn't that true?
In this case, yes. And that was done for a specific reason.
Okay, that's great. When you reached out, according to you, you were trying, moving heaven and earth to try to reach Mr. Teskey. Did you ever create a supplemental police report?
No.
Okay, let's go on to the next thing, which is you testified on direct examination that you then, in the weeks, months, whatever that followed, you attempted to reach Mr. Teskey, correct?
Yes.
Have you reviewed your phone records?
For which ones?
Are you sure you did that?
I'm asking for which phone.
Well, which do you have multiple phone numbers?
Yes.
Okay. I know the cell phone number that you've given out in this case, because we have those. Mm-hmm. Right? Did you use that cell phone to contact Mr. Teskey?
I don't know exactly which phone that I used, no.
Okay. Did you use the desk phone?
I don't know exactly which phone that I used.
Okay, well, there's no phone messages or calls to Mr. Teskey from the cell phone that you used when you were conducting the rest of your law enforcement in this case, or the precinct, when you claimed to this court that you called?
Yes, I did call him.
No, but I'm asking you a different. Well, let me ask this. Well, you don't know what phone you called from?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, there are no calls from you and your cell phone that you used for everything else in this case to Mr. Teskey during the weeks that you claimed you were trying to reach him. Do you know that?
Okay, so that's my cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There's also no phone calls in the days and weeks that you claimed you were trying to reach him from the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office, the 505-428-3700 number, okay?
That's our dispatch number.
Oh, okay. There's no messages from any Santa Fe Police Department's phone in his phone record during that time period that you claim you were trying to reach him.
Yeah, but if I call, it's more than likely not going to come up from a no caller ID.
That's a no caller ID situation?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I would like to see the body worn camera at some time if that's even necessary for this proceeding, and I have no further questions for this witness.
The court has some follow-up questions. So on testimony, I don't know who asked it, but anyway, you understood that Troy Teskey came over to the court and the deputies told him to wait for you, and that when you came down, he was gone, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if exactly when I came down, but when I was looking for him, I was told he had left.
Okay. All right. And at that point, you were aware it was Troy Teskey?
Yes.
Okay. So then you find out that because he couldn't, assuming he couldn't reach you here, he went over to the sheriff's office, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say today that he did not, he said these weren't from Rust, that's from you reviewing the lapel camera, correct?
That they were not from the set.
The set, and that's from reviewing the lapel camera, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you just reviewed that today, you didn't review it before?
That's correct.
All right, so when you find out, I assume from Popple, that he was over there and he dropped off the ammo, right?
Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure who told me, but...
Okay. You can't confirm or deny that, you didn't know that he said it wasn't from the Rust set. In fact, the report says that he says it was from the Rust set, correct?
Right, which I had just reviewed today as well.
Right.
Yes.
But when Popple when you were advised that Troy was there or was there, your understanding was that he was claiming it was from the Rust set.
I wouldn't say it was from the set, but it could be in relation to Rust.
Okay, so he told Popple it was related to Rust.
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't go over to the sheriff's office and look at the ammo?
No, I was here.
Well, I understand you were here, but you didn't, you said, Hannah Gutierrez's trial was over, which I took to mean that it wasn't pressing, but this case was ongoing at that time.
Yes.
So, did you and Popple have a conversation about what to do with this ammo?
To my understanding, it was going to be put in evidence.
Which evidence?
At the sheriff's office.
The Rust evidence?
No.
Why not?
Just as far in our evidence section in the sheriff's office.
And why was that determination made?
As to why
who
it
made
was...
it? Let me ask you, who made it?
These were discussions that were had with myself, with the supervisors at that time, and then with the prosecutors.
Were you the lead investigator?
Yes.
Okay. And you said, and with the prosecutors?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you all had discussions about what to do with what he dropped off?
Yes.
And you all agreed to put it in this separate file?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just very, very brief follow-up on the court's question. The defense requested, both through you and the prosecutors, to see all of the ammunition in this case, right?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously, and I know it's obvious, but I want to make sure it's in the record, we were not ever shown that, correct?
Well, I believe that you guys had a secondary evidentiary meeting with the sheriff's office that was canceled the day before the meeting was supposed to happen. Or an evidence showing, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, we were able to come for some showings and not others. The reality is when we came for showings, you never showed us this evidence, correct?
I don't know if I can agree with you there, because even on the first day that I was present at the evidence hearing, we didn't get through all the evidence that they wanted to see that day.
I don't have any more questions for this witness.
Let me ask you something. If Ms. Popple said it was not in the evidence viewing, would you disagree with her?
If this ammunition, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
If what Troy Teskey dropped off was not in the evidence viewing, because I can get the testimony, but they had a narrow... If Ms. Popple said it was not part of the evidence viewing, that you did not gather it for the evidence viewing, would you disagree with her?
I believe that we were sent a list of what they wanted to see, and then, Your Honor, the first day that we had done an evidence showing, we didn't get through everything.
That's not what I asked you.
I understand what I'm trying to... Then we had another day.
Pardon me?
We had a second day that was set up to continue.
I asked you if you would disagree that Ms. Popple said that it was not included in the evidence viewing. Not whether you got to it or whatever, but whether when they said we want evidence viewing, Ms. Popple said it was not part of the evidence viewing.
I don't know if it was or wasn't.
Would you disagree with her is what I'm asking.
I really don't know how to answer
All right,
that.
Thank you. Redirect?
I can't provide the video until she logs into this system. Mr. Spiro,
You know, I don't even think the video is relevant. She did not view it until today, so you can look at it, but do you have any cross-exam for her?
I just need to develop my records, so I need to get the video in. I need to get the video in.
You can get the video in, okay? Are you gonna get it in through her? Because I said it should come in from the person that wore the body
I
camera.
agree with you, he's here.
Okay, well, fine. So, do you have any cross-examination for her?
I do. Corporal, as you sit here today, do you have any reason to believe that the ammunition that was provided by Mr. Teskey came from the set of Rust?
No.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When you say that there were discussions and the decision was made by all of you to put that ammo in a separate file, right? Is that correct? You said that?
Yes, ma'am.
Was Ms. Morrissey part of that discussion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me give the court an offer of proof, and if Mr. Spiro wants me to, I'll testify under oath.
You are going to testify.
Sure, absolutely, I'm happy to. I'm showing you State's Exhibit 16. How do you know that's related to the set of Rust?
Because it was collected during a search.
Did it come from the scene?
Yes, I believe that one did come from the church or
State's
around.
Exhibit 29, how do you know that's related to the set of Rust?
That was the casing that Marissa collected.
State's Exhibit 10, how do you know that's related to the set of Rust?
Collected.
All of these photographs and all of the items that are in evidence, how do you know they're related to the set of Rust?
Because we got them from Rust or during the investigation or some part of the investigation.
How do you know these rounds were in any way related to the set of Rust?
I don't.
Okay. Let's bring in Randall, if that's his
Are you finished?
name. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Witness is excused. Thank
Okay.
you. Is your next witness?
Basic judge, raise your right hand.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Have a seat. Talk into the microphone.
State your name, sir.
It's Lieutenant Brian Brandel
How are you currently employed?
at the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
And do you know why you're here to testify today?
Yes.
Were you present when a gentleman by the name of Troy Teskey brought ammunition into the sheriff's department?
Yes, I was.
And at the time, were you running your body-worn camera?
Yes, I did.
And has that now been provided to me?
Yes.
Now, just so that we're clear, when you ran your body-worn camera, how did you preserve that video?
It is uploaded into a WatchGuard cloud.
And when you upload them to a WatchGuard cloud, do you link them to a case number?
Yes, they can be linked to a case number.
Was this video linked to a case number?
I don't recall. I'd have to look at the video, but I believe so.
Okay, and we have the video. I'm trying to... It's transferring over there? Okay, great. Have you watched the video today? Did you watch it with me?
No, I did not.
I have no idea where it is now, so...
Well, you're going to have to mark it before we publish it.
Do you want me to put it on a flash drive for the court and mark it that way?
Move it into evidence.
Sure, I'm working on pulling it up.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know the date that this was recorded?
I believe it was March 6, 2024.
Would this be State's Exhibit 2? I think it is. I'm going to show you what I'm going to mark as State's Exhibit 2. Can we display?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're publishing it, and, well, go ahead. I mean, it doesn't
I'm
matter.
not sure what,
All right,
do you
fine.
want to see the video or no?
I do want to see the video.
Okay.
Just- okay.
Does that look familiar to you?
Yes.
What are we looking at?
That's the hallway area of the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, I believe, near the first secure entrance into our area.
Is there a reason that we don't have volume?
It does have a pre-record that's just audio, and at the time when I initiate the activation, then it has audio. And to be correct, I was in the hallway headed towards that area.
No,
where it's
why
secure.
don't we have audio? Does it take 30 seconds for the audio to come on?
It's when I activate it. So I believe it is set to a 30-second pre-video, and then once I activate the camera, the audio
It
will kick
comes
on.
on, okay.
Yes.
We can just leave it out as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, good. I'm Lieutenant Roto.
Lieutenant, so nice to meet you. I've got some evidence. You need to do this out here? Because I should probably write out something to go with this.
Like a chain of custody.
Statement,
Well,
yeah.
we would have a chain of custody there. So, yeah, come with me and we'll.
That's my wife.
Hi.
That's Becky.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Readable, and then I think if you.
Where was Marissa?
Like this.
Went back to her area? There you is.
Hello.
Okay.
Outstanding.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just so we have like a chain of custody.
Where are we going?
Wherever you want to go to get the evidence. Can go to the interview. It's fine.
Sure, I could fill out a statement or something, witness statement. What it was, when I'm a witness, I was called here as a witness to the Russ trial. And I live in Arizona, so it's a long way.
Right.
And I wanted to, when I got to the trial, they said, at the last minute, they said, okay, I don't want you to testify. I was supposed to bring some evidence. And then they didn't want the evidence.
Okay.
I said, well, I don't want to walk around with this evidence forever.
That's fair, but you guys usually not.
Yeah, I don't care what you do, I just don't want to have it.
That's okay.
And they're 45 cartridges, like,
That are from the set?
no.
Okay.
No. You want to know the details?
Could you hear what the gentleman said?
Yes.
Was he asked if they were from the set?
Yes.
What was his response?
No.
Or do you want me to
Well,
write it down?
let me start with, what is your name, sir?
Troy. Well, that's a great start.
Troy what?
Troy Teskey.
Can you spell that for me?
T-E-S-A-E. I've got all kinds of identification. You should see it on a
And where are you getting called by?
retired police officer.
By
and
the defense.
Defense, okay.
Yeah, but they didn't end up using it.
Okay.
Here's my police ID. And then I'm also a judge. You need to see that.
Sorry. I'm go drop them. Okay, so they were gonna have you bring 45 rounds?
Yeah, and at the last minute,
They talked to
The
her,
defense.
him on the phone. Years ago, they said that they're gonna have somebody pick it up from Arizona, which they never did. Okay, so he brought it out here just in case. And-
Becky, this is my story.
Okay, but get it out. I don't want it anymore.
Sir, do you recall this conversation?
Yes, I do.
Do you know when Mr. Teskey is talking about being called as a witness in the Gutierrez trial, do you recall which side he was being called by?
I only learned that when he identified that.
What side?
On the defense side.
And when he said that he brought ammunition, but they didn't want to use it, was he referring to the prosecution or the defense?
Is there any basis to know that?
If he doesn't, I'm assuming he'll tell me.
It is the defense.
Anyway, yeah.
All right, I want to go.
They told me to, the defense attorney said, hey, why don't you bring those around? And I thought, and 2 times, Hancock and then Morrissey. Hancock first said way back on November 5th, and November 5th, of 2021, which was a week after the shooting, Seth Kinney called me. You know Seth? Everybody seems to know Seth here. But Seth, he was a friend of mine, and Seth Kinney called me from Hancock's office. She was a detective at the time. And he said, "You're on the record. I want to know what's going on with, because I have these rounds from, it's the same batch that came from Joe Swanson."
Okay.
You know him too?
Yeah, I know of him.
Everybody.
I've
awesome.
dealt with this case a lot.
Okay, well, that's perfect. You're the perfect person to, what's your first name?
Marissa.
Marissa? Oh.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm the crime scene technician.
All right. Well, I better jot that down. But I
I
have
can give
some
you
good
my
notes on it. When my big concern was having these. They said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I have these rounds. I have a batch, a whole bunch of rounds,
Okay.
or a bunch." And then they. Well, you probably don't want me to send you the whole batch. You want me to just pull something out and send you a picture. I took a picture with my phone, sent it to Seth. And he was in the office with Hancock. They looked at it, and Seth said, "Yep, this is evidence from the accidental shooting."
Now, when you say they're from the same batch of
Yes.
live rounds?
Yes.
Okay.
It's if you know the case, Bell Reed had a whole bunch of live rounds,
Yes.
and they, Seth and Thel, went to Yellowstone 1884, 1883. And he was teaching people how to shoot with these rounds.
Right.
Then they left there and they went together from Arizona. And then they came back and went to another set, which was...
Sir, why does your video end there?
I walked out of the interview and was attempting to, or I did contact Detective Hancock to see who this individual was and why he was there turning in evidence like he called it.
Okay, did you know what it was evidence of?
He'd mentioned that it was tied to the Rust case.
Well, did he say in the video that it was not from the set of Rust?
No,
You didn't hear him say that?
I don't recall him saying that.
Yeah, I stopped it and I asked you what he said. Do you
Oh, I'm
remember
sorry.
giving that testimony?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yes.
So the gentleman said on the video it was not from the set of Rust.
Yes,
Okay. And you called Corporal Hancock, right?
correct.
And do you recall the conversation you had with her?
Yes, I asked her, an individual's here, gave her the name. I said, he claims that he has evidence. How do you want me to proceed turning it in and documenting it? Or if she was available to come over and interview him. And at that time, you guys were still involved in the Hannah Reed case. So she was unavailable and she asked that it be documented and she would have to do further investigation onto it and interviews.
Okay, I'll pass the witness. I don't know if you have any questions.
I have a few questions.
Do you want me to disconnect? Do you want me to leave it here?
I don't.
You don't need it? Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
The witness that was in the precinct told you he was a retired police officer, correct?
Yes,
He offered to make a statement multiple times, correct?
yes,
Told you he was a witness multiple times, correct?
he did mention that.
Yeah. Told you he had evidence multiple times?
He did call it evidence, yes, but we had to confirm that it is in fact evidence, which is why I relayed to Detective Hancock that she needed to conduct an interview with him.
And what did Detective Hancock say on the phone? Tell me everything about that conversation.
They were still at the trial and that she would follow up with him and the evidence as well.
And that would have really messed up the trial, right? If they had taken that evidence and vouchered it and let anybody know, right?
I'm sorry, rephrase that?
That would have messed up the trial, right?
I don't believe it was used in the trial because it was never collected on our investigation.
And when Ms. Popple comes into the room, or when your camera comes into the room, she says, "I've dealt with this case a lot," right?
Yes.
And Teskey says, "You're the perfect person," right?
Yes.
And it was obvious from the conversation that Ms. Popple knew who Joe Swanson was, who Seth Kinney was, right?
Yeah, she was familiar with them.
Yeah. And that interview of him continued, correct?
I believe he was speaking on his own accord. We weren't conducting an interview. He was just there to turn in the evidence that he claimed he had.
Oh, that's not that. So that's your testimony, sir. That if law enforcement is sitting with the witness and the witness is giving information and law enforcement's asking questions and the witness continues to give information, that's not an interview?
Law enforcement wasn't asking questions. That was our crime scene tech.
No, not a single question was asked in that entire body cam?
I don't believe that I asked a question pertaining to the case other than believing it was evidence that was already part of the Hannah Reed case, and there was already a chain of custody until after he began disclosing where the evidence came from. That's when I learned that it wasn't actually part of that investigation, or it wasn't collected by our agency. It wasn't our actual evidence that was collected.
Right, and you know, I don't have all of your police reports for all of your cases every time you get evidence, right? But fair to say sometimes evidence is developed by people coming into the precinct and turning in evidence?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And you write in your report, it should be noted that this is not actual evidence. That's what you write in your report.
I believe pertaining to our initial investigation.
It should be noted that this is not actual evidence from the death investigation collected by SFSO detectives. That's what you wrote, right?
Correct, and it wasn't collected by our detectives for the investigation, the initial investigation.
I don't understand that. Can you explain that to me?
So the evidence that was brought, I was indicating because we didn't know if it was tied to the investigation, and Detective Hancock asked that we tie it to a separate case number until further investigation could be completed. So I didn't want someone or anyone to assume that it was actually evidence that we collected tied to this investigation.
And so that was at the direction of Detective Hancock?
No, I wrote that on my own accord.
Well, you may have written that sentence on your own accord, but I think as you just testified, Detective Hancock, who was at the courthouse with Ms. Morrissey at the time, directed you to put it under a different identification number, correct?
Correct, pending further investigation.
Okay. You were involved, actually, you're copied on some emails with evidence viewing in this case.
I believe so, yes.
Right. You have no reason to believe that law enforcement ever showed this evidence to the defense, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing further for this one.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, this witness is excused. Next witness?
I don't think I have any other witnesses.
All
I'm
right.
happy to provide information myself.
All right, we're going to take a bathroom break, and we'll be back in 3:30, okay? Or 3:25, okay? Thank you. We're in recess.
Hey, can you just make sure that Ms. Morrissey's sequestered during the break?
I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to go ahead.
There's more to come in the Rust shooting trial against Alec Baldwin from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. Press subscribe now.